The period 1884 to 1885 was a ruthless moment in African history. 14 European powers converged in Berlin for a historic conference convened by the German Chancellor Otto Bismarck. That conference would redefine the African frontier as European powers partitioned and shared the continent's territories with boundaries demarcated for colonial occupation, marking a massive sphere of influence. The legacy of that development are the boundaries defining each country on the continent, including Senegal and the Gambia. More than 5 years after the conference, which is often described as the Scramble for Africa, Edward Francis Small, a legendary figure for the liberation of the Gambia, was born in Bathurst, now Banjul. Small grew up as a child questioning the colonial boundaries and occupation, triggering his political consciousness. In his formative years, education became Small's most vital tool to challenge colonial oppression and exploitation in the Gambia. At 16, on a scholarship, he left the Gambia for Sierra Leone, where he pursued higher education and returned to his country to begin his public life. His knowledge and political consciousness amidst a very limited pool of local elites became a source of political consciousness for many. Using his academic and professional experience, Small demystified the colonial administration through unionism and the media. This became a threat to the colonial government, who were quick to observe Edward Francis Small's struggles for freedom and social justice in the Gambia. In the face of persecution and hostility from the colonial administration, Small fled to neighboring country of Senegal in Rufisque. Living abroad, the Gambian nationalist founded the Gambian Outlook and Senegambia Reporter in 1922, becoming one of the first national newspapers in the country. Through this newspaper, Small deployed his penmanship, exposing the ills of the British colonial government through the newspaper and petitions. Becoming increasingly resolute and amidst tight surveillance by the British, the liberation fighter mobilized farmers and traders for an unshakable force for freedom. Between 1917 and 1929, Small founded the Gambia Farmers Cooperative Association, the Gambia National Defense Union, and the Bathurst Trade Union, laying the bedrock for a mass movement against colonial dominion.
No taxation without representation, and the exploitation of poor farmers by the merchants must stop.
The mass political movement culminated in calls for political representation of a people who had long experienced the pain of oppression and exploitation under British rule.
Before you knew it, in 1947, we had a constitution that introduced the elective element.
Small's political movement later evolved into the Gambia National League, a period when political representation was eminent. Subsequently, an election for the Legislative Council was held in 1947, making Edward Francis Small the first elected Gambian in political structure at the ballot box. From 1919 to 1950, Small's role in charting and leading a united front for the liberation of the country laid the foundation for political representation and Gambia's attainment of independence 15 years later. Today, he is remembered as the father of Gambia's modern democracy and independence, having left an indelible mark in the country's history. Momodou Lamin Choi, GRTS News.